Yummy picadillo. Now, how good does that look? Sally, that girl, in the kitchen. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sally, that girl, in the kitchen. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to make picadillo. So for those of you who don't know what picadillo is ground beef, and I learned how to make it from my mom, who was born in Cuba. But I don't like to call my picadillo Cuban per se, because the truth is I watched her make it over the years, but through the years, I've also modified the recipe a little bit to my own liking and to what I found that my kids liked as they were growing up. So this is just Sally, that girl in the kitchen style picadillo. So I'm super excited to teach you how to make it. So let's not wait another second and let's get started. For today's recipe, you will need 2 pounds of lean ground beef, 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 3 ounces of tomato paste, which is about 5 tablespoons. 2 packets of Sazon accent. Now, if you don't want to use the Sazon packets, that's fine. Then just increase the rest of your spices a bit. 1 tablespoon onion powder. 1 teaspoon garlic powder. 2 tablespoons of dehydrated minced onions. 2 bay leaves. 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of paprika, a half a teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground black pepper, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, a splash of white wine, 4 cloves of garlic, raisins to taste, and of course they are also optional, but I really love what they do to the picadillo. Manzanilla Spanish olives stuffed with minced pimentos, also to taste. Use as many or as little as you'd like. And finally, a drizzle of the olive brine that your olives come in. You will also need a cutting board and a knife, some measuring spoons, a spoon or a wooden spoon, whichever you prefer. And you can also use this tool that I like to break up the ground beef, but if not, you could totally use your wooden spoon to do that. And you'll also need a nicely sized skillet with a lid. And I am actually going to be making some white rice because I love to serve my picadillo alongside some white rice. But of course, you could make quinoa, mashed potatoes, and you can use this picadillo to stuff so many different things. You can make a shepherd's pie, you can make empanadas, you can make a pastelón de plátano maduro. You could, of course, also make brown rice. However you want to serve it, this picadillo is going to be delicious. Now that my white rice is ready and nice and fluffy, and we have all of our ingredients and tools together, let's get started on making our picadillo. So the first thing you're going to want to do is separate and peel 4 cloves of garlic and then chop them up well. Then add your extra virgin olive oil right into your large skillet. Then right on top of the oil, you're going to add that chopped garlic, and then you're going to turn the heat on your stove. So we're going to start at about medium, and what we want to do is just have that garlic release its wonderful flavor and that amazing fragrance. But we have to be very careful because garlic does burn very quickly. So we're just going to move it around using either a spoon or a wooden spoon, and then not too much after, you're going to go ahead and add your ground beef. You don't want to wait too long because you don't want that garlic to burn. So you're going to add your ground beef right into your skillet, and then you can use either a spoon, wooden spoon, or I actually sometimes use a combination. I start with a wooden spoon, and then I use my trusty ground beef separator. I have no idea what this tool is called. It was a gift from my mom, but it's super handy. You just put it right in and just twirl it, and it breaks up your ground beef really well. But of course, you can go old school and just use a fork, a spoon, whatever. But basically, what you're looking to do is to just break up that meat. You don't want the meat clumping up together, so you just use whatever tool and then break up the meat so that the pieces kind of loosen up from each other. So now I'm going to be adding 2 packets of Sazon accent. And like I said, some people don't like using Sazon because it has MSG. So if you don't want to use it, that's fine. It's very typical Cuban, very typical Latin to use Sazon, and that's the way my mom made it, so that's the way I do it. But if not, just skip it. And then of course you'd be adding a little more spices. So I'm adding 2 bay leaves, and then I'm adding just a pinch of salt because the Sazon has salt. So if you're not using it, you want to add a little more than I did. And then some ground black pepper. And then right on top of that, I'm also going to be adding my onion powder. And then my garlic powder. And then I'm going to add some cumin, which is super fragrant. To me, that is really the key of this recipe. You really need that cumin. And then some paprika. This is just sweet paprika. It's not spicy. And then after that, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use minced dehydrated onions. I really like the effect these onions give to my picadillo. You can go with fresh if you choose, but I just really like the results with these minced. And then I'm going to be adding my raisins. Now, this is very controversial. Some people say, what? Raisins and ground beef? But it's very, very typical Cuban, and it really adds some sweetness. And I just think it's super necessary. But of course, if you really are against it, then you can omit it. And so I'm adding about half of this can, because there's 6 ounces in this can of tomato paste, right into my pot, right into the center. Actually, let me help myself. There we go. And then once that is in, I am going to add a nice splash of white wine, just any wine that you have open in your fridge. I like to cook with wine that I would actually drink. And now I'm adding some balsamic vinegar. So all of this adds a little bit of acidity, but also some sweetness. And then for a little more acidity, some lemon juice. You can use from a bottle or you can squeeze it yourself, however you prefer. And then now I'm adding my stuffed olives, but notice the brine. I'm not only adding olives, I'm adding some of that liquid gold because that liquid has so much flavor, and that is really going to add flavor to our picadillo. And then once all of those ingredients are in, I'm just using my wooden spoon and I'm just stirring all of those ingredients together. I want to make sure that all of those beautiful liquids infuse the picadillo, and it helps dilute that tomato paste and just kind of thin it out a bit. And then I'm just going around and breaking up any pieces of meat that are still kind of stuck together. And all I'm doing is just bringing all of these fabulous flavors together. It smells incredible in my kitchen right now. It's just absolutely delicious, and my mouth is watering as I cook. It is such a tasty dish. If you haven't had picadillo like this before, you're really in for a treat. So after breaking up the rest of the meat and stirring everything together, I just add a little touch of sugar. So we added a lot of acid. We added some wine and some balsamic and some lemon, and all those things have acidity. So we're adding just another touch of sweetness, and it really just creates the most incredible sweet and sour effect almost. And of course, the brine from the olives, all of that stuff is very acidic, but then we balance it with the raisins and that touch of sugar, and of course the sweetness from the tomato paste. It's really going to be delicious. So all I'm doing is just stirring all of my ingredients together at this point. It's already cooked just for a few minutes, but you'll see that ground beef cooks very, very quickly. So at this point, once I'm satisfied with the pieces of meat, then I'm just going to cover my picadillo and just let it simmer for a few minutes. I'm going to put the lid on, and then I'm going to lower my heat to just about low or maybe a little above low, and just put the heat on nice and soft and allow it to cook. And then every few minutes I just come over and I check it just to make sure that it's cooking, that that beautiful liquid is getting a gorgeous color and is smelling amazing. I just stir everything together and then just finish cooking it off. So at this point, I grabbed a clean spoon, and now my meat is fully cooked, and I'm going to just grab a little and take a taste. I want to make sure that all my flavors are right. So, for me, it's absolutely perfect. It doesn't need a thing. I'm going to turn my stove off, and it is ready. It is smelling incredible. It looks delicious, and my appetite is just completely open and ready. My rice is ready, and now my picadillo is ready to accompany it, and I cannot wait to taste it. It looks super good, and this is just a quick, easy, but delicious meal. So now I'm just going to serve myself a little bit of the white rice on a plate, because I really do love my picadillo best with rice. But as I said, I've also made it with quinoa, with mashed potato, with brown rice, with so many different things. But definitely white rice is my favorite. And so I got a little bit of white rice. Now I'm going to get a little bit of that delicious picadillo, and of course I have to make sure that I get plenty of olives and plenty of raisins. I love them both. But of course, as I said, if you're serving this for younger children and they're finicky, then don't serve them the olives and just pick around the raisins if they don't want them. But they really do give a great flavor to this picadillo. Picadillo and rice is a staple around here. It's a quick dinner, but it's delicious and nobody complains. Everybody loves it. So now my favorite part, time to try this. So yummy, all of those delicious flavors, that olive, so good. It's perfect, super tasty with those delicious olives and raisins and just a little sweetness and a little bit of sour, you know, that perfect level of acidity combined with a little touch of sweetness. It's super, super good. And of course, I love it even more with some white rice. Okay, for filming purposes, I should have used a spoon, but it's perfect. I've got everything on my fork. Delicious. So good. It's just got that perfect balance of flavors with the rice, makes it even more special. So good. You're gonna love it. This is quick, it's easy, and it's delicious and nutritious, and everyone is going to be a fan. So tell me this doesn't look totally yummy and appetizing. It is the perfect dinner for any time. It could be a midweek dinner or even for a special occasion. Why not? It's super delicious, and when you pair it up with some rice and some delicious sides, it's even more special. And it's a recipe that everyone is going to like. And of course, you can always modify it to your liking, but I'm telling you, if you try it this way, I really believe you're going to like it. Trust me. No, better yet, don't trust me. You're gonna have to try to make this recipe yourself. And of course, if you've enjoyed today's recipe, don't forget to like, comment, and share. And remember, of course, if you haven't done so already, to subscribe to my channel and to touch that little notification bell so that you get notified when I put up new and delicious recipes. And of course, travel over to my video tab and explore, because there are a ton of recipes already there. And if you're not already following me on social media, be sure to follow Sally That Girl in the Kitchen on Facebook, Instagram, and on Pinterest. And you can follow me as Sally That Girl FL on Twitter, Snapchat, and on TikTok. See you next time. Sally That Girl in the Kitchen.